Thanks everyone for joining this morning. Welcome to the next in our series of Norton expert interviews. We've done quite a few of these already, but in this one, we're going to be focusing on another important market for Norton, which is gear. So let's give everyone on the outset a chance to hear what Norton thinks about what's happening in the industry and also learn a little bit more about the products we offer for our gear customers. For this session, we've assembled our gear experts. So to kick things off, I'm going to quickly introduce the team. From product management and product engineering groups, we have Josh Fairley, Jeff Hollan, and Kyle Kopanski. And from the application engineering group, we have Dave Goetz and Andrew Biro. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining.
Yes, thank you.
So let's start things out by talking about trends. And I'm just going to start with the high-level question. What are some of the trends we're seeing in the gear market today? And what are our customers looking for from their abrasive supplier?
Okay, well, I can start with that. One of the things we're seeing is definitely a move to the higher speed wheels. 80 meters per second seem to be pretty standard. We're starting to see people wanting to get up into the 100 meters and higher, which with super abrasives is never a problem, but with the conventional bonded, it's been a bit of a struggle. But we're certainly providing products that can do it. We're seeing a lot more tighter tolerances on gears. Gear to gear, but tooth to tooth as well. Certainly looking for reductions in noises, longer life. There also seems to be a bit of a fight between quality and quantity. When you look at the automotive market's move to electrification, there's a bigger push on the quality of the gear. We've got to reduce the noise. We need a lot less variation between the parts from tooth to tooth and part to part. You just don't have the engine noise to hide things like you would in an internal combustion engine. But on the larger truck and the agricultural side, certainly they're looking for ways to get more gears out quicker. They're generally larger. They can be a little more forgiving on some of the tolerances. But that's for the automotive.
And to piggyback on what David's comment about high speeds, 80 meters per second has certainly become the standard across the world. In the US, we do have more stringent standards on meeting those speeds. And at Norton, we have even higher standards. And this has required us to make investments to make sure that we can hit those speeds safely and consistently. So that's been a big priority for us. And now it is the standard across all bonded product. And to talk to electrification that David was mentioning, it's really focusing on the macro and the micro geometries of each gear. So when we're grinding, we certainly impact both. So on macro, we're really looking at flank and profile variances, so tooth-to-tooth variation. And then we can also look at what surface finish are we bringing to each tooth. So when we're looking at a surface finish, so whether we're looking at RA or RZ, RPK, depending on what they want out of your gearbox, there's drastically different targets that we can hit. And we have to do that with very different products. So I think we do a very good job with our application engineering team and our sales force to understand what the customer is trying to do, what design and what features and benefits are they trying to get out of their gearbox.
Okay. And Andrew, do you want to add to that? Maybe a little bit different than what we see in the automotive market, but maybe in markets like aerospace.
Sure. Yeah, I was going to just jump in and do that. In aerospace, we see the same general trends in the sense that we're looking more for, I guess I would say, quality over quantity. And so a lot of the very tight tolerances, tight geometries, and in aerospace, certainly a lot of it's related to efficiency, right? Because there's only a certain amount of power that the engine's going to be able to produce, and you want to transmit that power as efficiently as possible between areas of the turbine. And so, obviously you don't have the ability like you do with a vehicle to kind of refuel as needed, right? You're in the air and you've got as much fuel as you've got. So you've got to make sure that you can really maximize those efficiencies. And so that's what a lot of the a lot of what we're seeing in the aerospace industry is being driven by the efficiency requirements. To Josh and Dave's points, things like form, profile, surface roughness, all of those are really becoming more and more critical as we move forward.
Andrew, do you want to talk a little bit more about grinding from solid? So that's something that we promote with our abrasive products, and I'd like to, hear a little bit more about your opinions in that space.
Sure, yeah. So grinding gears from solid is something that is, I would say, probably not as common as basically just a finishing process. The general concept of grinding gears from solid is to really try to move customers who are maybe doing lower to medium volume productivity on specific features into an application where they're taking a grinder and they're doing the rough grinding in a sort of semi-hardened state of steel. So these are generally going to be, if it's steel, it's probably anywhere from a 35 to a 45 Rockwell. So nothing case hardened at this time, and they'll do the roughing process, get everything to its near net shape, do the heat treatment process, and then finish the part with grinding wheels on the same grinder. And so there's a lot of benefits associated with that. First and foremost being the ability to, simplify the amount of inventory that you need, right? You need fewer pieces of equipment because you can do everything on one grinding platform. You need fewer, conventional abrasives. So things like, or conventional, I'd say milling or turning equipment. So things like hobs, you don't necessarily need a custom shaped hob for every part because you can dress in a grinding wheel to whatever shape you need. So there's a lot of benefits associated with those two, with the machining to grinding platform, I guess, as we'll call it.
And even historically, sorry, Andrew. So even historically, the reason that customers would want to hob is because of productivity. And so what we bring to the table is certain grains and an engineered product so that you can match those speeds to even be faster. So it's much more cost effective for the customer.
Right. And highly beneficial, especially, like I said, at customers where you're looking for, competitive cycle times, to Josh's point, and also, specialty parts. So maybe you're not making 100,000 of these gears, you're making a select few. And that a lot of that is what we see in the aerospace sector, because we're not making 100,000 engines a year. We're making, a couple hundred. So that's really where we see a lot of the benefit to this, converting existing machining processes to grinding.
That strategy also branches out to a lot of the, we'll call them job shops across the US and Mexico and Canada. They make gears and they refurbish gears for all different sectors, all different markets. And so every setup for them is going to be different. So being able to design their process to be as quick as possible, reduce tooling is always a benefit for them. Right. So that's a big focus for us with the technology that we push.
Do we see anything, any trends that we think are going to become more prevalent in the future? Something that maybe we don't see as much today, but we think, things will change given certainly the current circumstances, but, the future, what our customers are looking for?
I think we keep a very close eye on the forecast for electrification. So we're bringing it back to automotive, but even other markets that may go away from combustion engines. Light vehicles we see as quickly converting. So we're already seeing a big push towards hybrid vehicles, and electric vehicles are on the rise for sure. But then when we look towards other larger vehicles like commercial trucks, construction and agriculture equipment that may have a slower conversion, there's a much bigger focus on improving efficiencies. David, do you want to talk to the light vehicles?
Well, I certainly can, but I was going to add to that the larger vehicles too. As part of the EV project that I've undertaken, we're seeing the large highway haulers look to electrify. City buses are moving electric into hybrid. I've seen companies that are looking at light aircraft to electrify them. So what you would traditionally see as a internal combustion propeller driven airplane, they're looking to electrify those as well. So the move to electrify, it's not just light vehicles, it's all modes of transportation seem to be looking to go that way. So ultimately, as you do that, the need for gearboxes and precision gearboxes, the quiet is going to continue for sure.
Do we see any material type changes? Do we see any of our customers looking to use different materials for their gears?
I haven't so far in automotive. You know, it tends to be the same 8620 steels and similar products. That's not to say that as we move forward to need to lighten vehicles up, to make them more efficient, to make batteries last longer, that we may not see a move to ceramics or composites. But at least on the automotive side right now, I haven't seen a big change.
It seems
Yeah.
like the focus is certainly on what quality they're bringing those gears to. And I would say in the last several years and moving forward, that quality is just jumping leaps and bounds. So it's not so much changing materials, but the finish quality of those gears is certainly changing.
And I would echo that in aerospace also. I don't see a big push for new gearing material necessarily, but again, it's all driven by efficiency. So, you know, I think there's always research being done to try to improve efficiencies across the engine platform. And if new or novel materials allow that, then I think it's something certainly the airline industries will look at over the next 5 to 10 years.
I'd be curious to see how additive manufacturing, like 3D printing, affects this market. And you know, depending on the size of the gear, you know, is it possible to basically 3D print what you need and then just send them to a finished grind, final form?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's switch gears here for a second and talk a little bit more about our products and our portfolio for the gear market. Josh, really, this is your portfolio, since you're the bonded guru here at Norton for gears. So do you want to tell us a little bit about not only specific new products, but just overall, what does our portfolio look like for our gear customers?
Well, we provide a full complement. So whether you're grinding spur gears, helical gears, bevel gears, so whatever type of gear that you are making, we do provide a product. We were just talking about electrification and improved efficiencies. A product that is important to us to provide is a wheel that can actually super finish. So typical finishes or typical grit sizes that you would get for a fine finish, you might go to 220 grit, which is a pretty fine finish for a continuous generation grinding wheel. But for some of the finishes that are being required by certain customers, they actually need up to, let's say, an 800 grit, which is a drastically different technology and provides its own challenges from a manufacturing perspective, and even a grinding perspective. So what we had introduced the last couple of years is called our dual wheel. So this provides a roughing portion of the wheel, but then also a super finishing portion of the wheel. And the idea here is to grind as quickly as you can with the roughing, and then I'm not going to say polish because it's really super finishing. There's different technologies that might push the rest of the material to get that fine finish, but what we're doing is actually grinding. So we'll say super finishing to get that that very micro finish. On the other side of things, where a customer is going to try to just grind as quick as they can. So when we're looking at job shops, aerospace, low lot sizes, where you really just want to be flexible and grind as quick as you can, this is where our shape ceramic technology comes into play. So the newest technology there is TQ and TQX. And this is where you can get high removal rates for both discontinuous and continuous generation. Enables grinding from solid, but even if you just have a lot of stock to remove or you require a quick cycle time, this is what gets you there. In the past, our older technologies, TG and TG2, while a very strong ceramic grain, it would be tougher to microfracture, and there would be a higher risk for thermal damage. With TQ, it draws less power. It's much more free cutting. So it allows you to push your grinding parameters and still have a cool cut. Another new product is our Quantum X. So Quantum X isn't a new product, but it's been very successful in aerospace and just general high removal applications. So you see this in discontinuous generation, so grinding one gear tooth at a time, but then also in large beveloid gears. And then with the new next generation Quantum, NQN, we can combine this with those agglomerated technologies for further improvement in consistency, improved quality, form holding, finish, and higher removal rates. So it's kind of all the good stuff.
Yeah, it's an interesting note, Josh. Back when I was in industrial gearbox manufacturing with profile gear grinding, we switched from SG to NQ technologies and saw a pretty drastic, parts per dress increase as well as cycle time reduction. So it's interesting to see what maybe these new technologies could do for the market as well. We definitely saw an increase of production, so that was good.
A new trend we're also seeing is with these new high performance grains, there's been opportunities to actually reduce the concentration that you're putting into the wheel, and that can promote higher dresser life. So depending on what the customer's priorities are, we can design a wheel to hit the tack times that they need, but then also help the customer save on tooling costs. A trend that we are seeing, it's a slow trend, but it is moving forward in North America, is customers are obviously trying to be more and more productive, improve their industrial efficiency. And one way that they're able to do this is by converting a discontinuous operation, so that's cutting one gear tooth at a time, to a continuous generation operation using a worm gear grinding wheel. We're able to do this on, so the focus here is on gears that have interference contours. So the reason they would have to cut one tooth at a time is because a typical worm grinding wheel would not be able to be free of those interferences. And so what we're able to do is manufacture a much smaller diameter grinding wheel that can avoid those interference contours and cut those parts of the gear assembly much more quickly. These are the same technology and manufacturing process as our standard worm wheels. They obviously have a smaller diameter, but they're going to maintain the same thicknesses. They're also available in monolithic or in dual technology. And from the dual portfolio, we can go with a semi-finish, so a 220 grit finishing, or we can go to the super finishing technology as well. So these are all available to our customers now.
Yeah, that's great to hear that we can really work with our customers closely to design, the products that they need. And it actually is a good transition into talking about super abrasives, because we do offer super abrasive products in the gear space. So Jeff, do you want to jump in and talk a little bit about super abrasives and what we can offer our customers that are interested in that technology?
Sure, Jamie, thanks. Just as Norton offers full line of conventional abrasives for your gear grinding needs, we also offer full line solutions with super abrasives, be it vitrified, resin, plated platforms, anywhere from ID grinding gears to form generation, even GPK grinding to achieve gear thicknesses and tolerances. We want to help you hit your production goals, and sometimes super abrasives is the key to that, especially if you're grinding millions of gears a year. Super abrasives has a place in the gear market usually for the higher production gear customers, the ones that really have to make a lot of gears annually. Please contact us if you have questions about our super abrasives offerings, or if you need help, or you're thinking of moving to super abrasives, or you just want to improve your current super abrasives process. Okay.
Yep, great. And along with, certainly with bonded and super abrasives, we also offer the dressing products that would go along with those. So Kyle, you are our representative for the dressing team in this interview. So do you want to talk a little bit about what solutions we have in dressing?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a single source provider. We have full offerings in both CNC profile generation dressers based out of Travelers Rest, South Carolina. And at our Center of Excellence in Germany, we have the single taper, twin taper, and full profile. These are both positive plated and reverse plated solutions for our customers. So as we're going into customers, we like to offer that and let everybody know that we are a full solution provider, both the grinding wheel and dresser. We are constantly upgrading diamond concentrations and types on our dressers to keep up with the grain technologies. We have converted over to high quality CVDs on almost all of our gear dressers to help with the gear profile surface conditions. This is to reduce the noises for customers, gear longevity, et cetera. So we're constantly evolving our product, and please keep that in mind as we go to customers so we can offer them a solution for a dresser as well.
Great. Yeah, and we do offer a lot of support for our customers. So, Andrew, Dave, do you want to talk a little bit about, what type of support we provide to our customers? Obviously, both on-site and off-site these days is important.
Right. Yeah. So I'll start, Dave, and maybe you want to have a few comments at the end. But yeah, Jamie, to your point, I mean, I would say historically we have done a lot of on-site testing support, and certainly for certain gear applications, it is very beneficial to be on-site at the machine in front of it to help our customers work through either productivity increases or extending wheel life or whatever the demands of their specific unique challenges are. But with the recent COVID pandemic, we're trying to offer support remotely as well. And I've actually done a couple of remote gear tests where, I can use either, Teams or FaceTime, some sort of video type conferencing to, assist either the end engineers or our sales folks who can be on site, as needed. And so that's something that we've really started to push more and more, and we've had some really good success in doing that. And that's kind of our way of ensuring that everybody stays safe and, complying with the regulations state by state, which all are varying, to make sure that we're still meeting the demands of our customers and we're not just sending them a wheel and saying, good. We really want to make sure that we're here to help you. If you need support beyond just, getting another wheel in, we certainly have options to do that, to support you. And we can certainly make, Dave and I can make ourselves available. We have other folks, on this call who would certainly be available to help remotely as needed also. So, Dave, I don't know if you want to add anything to that or.
Yeah, I was just going to add that, I mean, the benefit we have right now is, we're an international team. I'm currently stationed up in Canada, covering Canadian accounts, which keeps our US based teams can't cross the border. So we have technical resources on both sides of the border. We have a very technical sales force that certainly is very good at gathering information for myself and Andrew to use, which we then take back to Josh and Kyle and Jeff to help on that side. So we certainly have the resources and the ability available.
And it's the same situation in Mexico. We have an extensive sales force and application team in Mexico. There's a lot of manufacturing that happens there, and yeah, the same issue at the border, and we're able to remotely or in person provide that support.
Yeah, and we do have the ability to travel. I mean, we just have to consider the current restrictions, but
what's important for us is as our gear customers obtain jobs or get new equipment or they just need a quick turnaround on a gear grinding product, we do hold in Worcester, Massachusetts, a considerable amount of blank inventory. Now, by blank, I mean unfinished inventory. So if it's a slightly different size, or you need a very specific and unique profile, we can take that blank, turn it around in a very quick amount of time, and then send it to the customer. So this is how we can both capitalize on new opportunities quickly, but then also get a customer out of a jam. With the supply chain being really disrupted during the pandemic, these are the types of strategies that we use to really help our customers.
All right. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate your time this morning, and I'm sure all of our customers enjoyed hearing a little bit more about what's happening in the gear market. I know we're all interested in getting back in person to meeting with our customers, so hopefully we'll get to see them pretty soon. So thanks again, everybody.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Jamie.
you.
Thanks.